Allman in the morning. Common Sense Radio.
Good morning, you bunch of drunks.
We'll give you an update on what's going on with Glenn Beck and his announcement that he's going to be leaving Fox News. Also, speaking of Fox News, Jon Stewart on Geraldo in Libya. This is priceless stuff. It's very, very funny. And John Boehner on the Tea Party and Chris Christie on teachers' unions. Some Chris Christie porn for you straight ahead. Tim, thanks for calling the show. How are you, my friend?
Good.
What's going on, buddy?
Jamie, Russell was just saying what evidence is there that tax decreases create jobs. Well, look what Caterpillar's doing over in Illinois. They're negotiating with the governor because of the tax rate.
Yeah.
And they, from what I understand, Caterpillar built 3 new plants in China.
Well, here's my problem with the whole concept of, and Tim, thanks for calling. For somebody who says, well, what evidence do you have that tax cuts create jobs? Well, first of all, why is it incumbent upon the person receiving the tax cuts to prove somehow that they're actually returning whatever it is to the country? Why is it that you have to basically dance for your dinner in the eyes of Russell or anybody else? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you don't need to have to explain tax cuts. Tax cuts are good for the country, whether or not it creates jobs or not. I mean, the bottom line is you can't simply tell somebody, well, we'll not take as much as you, we'll not seize as much as your assets, as much of your assets. If you can prove to us that you're doing this and this and this and this, what kind of government is that? Now, I can also ask Russell and other people who are saying, well, what about what have you done to create jobs? What are you doing to create jobs? I mean, again, the people who are getting tax cuts don't have to justify their existence to anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandra Smith. We haven't talked to her in a long, long time, and it's great to talk to you again, my dear. How you doing?
Hi, Jamie. Good morning. I'm doing great. This country is a mess right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I love the term non-essential government services because the very fact that there are non-essential government services proves that maybe they shouldn't exist. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, think about that with your own job. I mean, if all of a sudden we got notices at News Corporation that all the non-essential workers can go home. You kind of are going to think to yourself, like, when you see half the building gone, you're going to think, well, maybe they shouldn't be getting paid in the first place, and you'll probably think you're a bit worthless. I mean, really, it's unbelievable what this showdown is really exposing, as far as this administration, as far as the government's concerned. I mean, if anything, I think it just continues to show we have too much government, too much spending, and we have a president in power who's just not willing to lead. And President Obama has had so many opportunities now to stand up, take charge, take control, show he's in power, show leadership, and he just is still reluctant to do it. I'm just still shocked that he called for that emergency meeting last night and still really just nothing came out of it. It looks bad. It looks bad right now.
That's because these emergency meetings are simply that the emergency is he needs to bolster his poll numbers. That's the emergency. I mean, other than that, they're not lifting a finger. I don't see any of these Democrats lifting a finger to solve this country's problems. All they're doing is complaining and saying, "Oh, well, what about these tax cuts? How come they're not creating jobs?" It's like, listen. The rich people already fund a majority of our government as it is. What more can we possibly want from them? And by the way, speaking of the non-essentials, you know where, for instance, Sandra, a non-essential radio host happens to be right now? In bed. In bed. So,
exactly.
I mean, that's how it all rolls. So, in general, though, what about the stock market? How's that all going?
Well, I mean, the stock market looks all right. I mean, we've continued to go higher when the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the stock market's at 2.5-year highs right now. But something that's making us a little bit skeptical is the fact that there's absolutely no trading volume, meaning there's no participation. So we're just kind of floating higher as we see all the political uncertainty, still the uncertainty over in the Middle East and North Africa. Oil prices continue to charge higher. I mean, we're staring $109 a barrel in the face. Next thing we know, as we approach Memorial Day, gas prices are staring $4 a gallon as a national average in the face. I mean, we're at $3.70 now. So it's just astonishing that we see the government in flux like this when there are major problems at home for the American people. Rising gas prices, home values are still at record lows. Unemployment's still over 8%. But yeah, the stock market continues to go higher. For some reason, there's just still a bullish momentum out there. People just have, Americans have hope. They think things are, eventually going to turn around. They think things are eventually going to get better. And so nobody's really willing to sell that fact as far as the stock market's concerned.
That's really interesting. What do you make of the phenomenon now with NBC and Wall Street Journal reporting that Donald Trump in their poll is polling second in the nation as it relates to Republican favorability, as it relates to who should be the candidate to face off with President Obama? Donald Trump.
He's a businessman, Jamie. He's a businessman. I mean, the President of the United States is the CEO of the United States of America. And there's nothing we need more right now than somebody who knows how to run a business. That's one of the biggest problems that a lot of critics have of President Obama. What really has he ever done to show leadership or show that he knows how to run a company, let alone a country? Donald Trump, God love him. I mean, I'm a big fan of him. He's a smart man. He's basically going out on the road and he's telling Americans the way it is right now. I mean, he's not sugarcoating anything. He's saying that America is in serious trouble. China, we're in jeopardy of China, taking over as far as trade is concerned. I mean, they were already at that point. I mean, they're producing most of the goods in the world right now.
Yeah.
And he's telling people the way it is. And I think the American people are smart. They get it. And they want people to be honest with them and tell them how they can lead in the direction that they can take the country. And he's doing that. And
the American people, and that's a great point, Sandra, the American people also are refreshingly simplistic about what they want in their leadership. And I'm a big fan of Donald Trump's too. I constantly get pushback from some people. Oh, come on. It's a gimmick. It's a this. It's a fad. It's a this. I'm going, no. I get the phone calls here on the radio show from people who are like, no. We like him.
Yeah.
I don't care about the orange hair and all that stuff. We like this dude. And so I think Americans, and also I interviewed Herman Cain, who's the former CEO of Godfather's Pizza. And just, again, Americans are attracted to successful people, not people who have been gravy training their entire lives, because Americans look up to people who are productive. And Trump's productive. So
and look, he's looking at the situation. He's not saying America can't get back to what it used to be. He's not saying doom and gloom. This is we've lost our power in the world. He's saying he can get us there, and people are willing to listen to a plan. And right now, there's just no plan as far as President Obama is concerned. We're just afraid we're going to get the same old thing for another 4 years if he's elected back into office.
Well, it's always fabulous talking to you, Sandra Smith, and we'll see you on the Fox Business Network and also on Don Imus. So you tell him hello for me, please.
I always do. I will do that.
I'm sure you do, my dear. All right, good. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Thanks for having me.
Allman in the morning.
I love her in that friendly kind of way. She's great. It'll be like Don Imus. How does he get on the show all the time? 6:46. We're going to have Jimmy Talent on with us in your phone calls as well. It's Common Sense Radio.